congratulate everybody. The 14-day intermittent fast raw food challenge is officially over. Well, I guess depending on where you are in the world, it might not be over yet. But congratulations to everybody that put forth the time and effort to change their life. So congrats. I have been having a lot of questions lately, and not only questions, but you can type in Google and it's all over the news. Not only the flu, I covered the flu in yesterday's report, but I'd like to talk about yeast, fungus, and mold just for a little bit here. I'll probably do a whole show on that eventually, but most people don't know that yeast is actually a fungus, and so is mold. And there's a fungus among us. And I pulled up some of my notes just to kind of go over, because there's so many symptoms that people are suffering from that can be contributed to fungus or yeast or mold overgrowth in the body. And doctors don't look at that. I mean, you can go into your doctor's office and they will not do any testing on you to determine whether or not you have yeast, mold, or fungus. So any type of mental, neurological symptoms, respiratory, circulatory, vision, eye problems, skin problems, immune system problems, reproductive, tiredness, discomfort, personality changes. I've noticed with kids, kids are being diagnosed with all these conditions these days. A lot of them, because of the high sugar content, is yeast, candida overgrowth, fungus, brain fog, confusion, mood swings, irritability, anxiety, depression, miscarriage, impotence, sterility, infertility. Those can all, the list goes on and on and on. But I wanted to bring it up because a lot of people could be suffering from fungus or yeast in the body, or mold for that matter, and not ever know it. So Morgellons, I don't know if anyone's heard of Morgellons, but that's a big time problem where these literal strands start growing out of your skin. If you're not familiar with it, look it up online, and hopefully you don't have it. But we're finding now that it's mycosis caused by an unknown genus of fungus. Preliminary. There's a lot of theories out there. There's been yeast and fungus collected in chemtrail residue. Just recently, not too long ago, an MD at the Fibromyalgia and Fatigue Center in Dallas, Texas, said yeast overgrowth is linked to an average weight gain of 32.5 pounds. So sometimes you might think that you cannot figure out, you might be eating fairly healthy, or just usually you're eating a lot of sugar in your diet and you're gaining weight and you might not know what it is, and it could be that you have a fungal overgrowth. According to some estimates, at least 15 million American women suffer from candidiasis. That's a fungal overgrowth in the intestines. At least 150 species of fungi, sometimes called yeast, are collectively known as candida. So it's not just one. You can have over 150 species. But the one that particularly becomes overgrown is the Candida albicans. We used to always just clean all the yeast and the fungus out of the body. That's part of the 9-step body cleanse. I actually developed a product. It's called Mycozil. Mycozil is specifically designed to attack and boost the body's defenses. I have to watch what I say here, so I'm not making any health claims. Boost the body's defenses to attack yeast and mold organisms. Gene asks a question real fast. Can long-term use of iodine on the tongue enlarge your thyroid? I've never heard of that, Gene, and I don't know how much iodine you're putting on your tongue, but I've known people, and Dr. Brownstein's had people on 6,000 or so, or even more than that, micrograms a day. And if your thyroid gets enlarged, it might be because it's pushing out all of the fluoride and the bromine and the chlorine, but you also have to make sure you're taking the right type of iodine. Okay, because iodine can be toxic if it's not in the right form. In other words, you cannot go to the drugstore and get iodine and start taking it. All of the Lugol's out there and all the other iodines that are in alcohol can be an endocrine disrupting chemical. This is interesting that Candida releases over 80 known toxins, which can weaken the body's defenses and cause the mucous membranes of the gut to leak. Okay, you're taking the X2, well then you're taking the right type of iodine. The X2 is exactly the same as the detoxidine, and that should not. Now, if you've had thyroid problems in the past, whether it's Hashimoto's, whether it's low thyroid, hypothyroidism, if it's hyperthyroidism, what the natural practitioners have noticed, the thyroid experts, is that it can take 9 months to 12 months to balance out the thyroid. And depending on what you're exposing yourself to also on a regular basis, I mean, that's why it's so important, and that's why iodine is so important, because of all of the halogens we're exposed to nonstop, the fluoride, the bromine, and the chlorine. So getting back quickly to the yeast and fungus, vaginal yeast infection strikes 75% of American women at least once in their lifetimes. Again, what is the cause? Always ask yourself, what is the root cause of everything? My throat is sore. I was screaming all day. My kids were in basketball games, so I kind of overdo it and get a little out of control sometimes. But this is interesting too, half of the world's 350,000 asthma-related deaths. Who would have thought asthma could be associated with fungus and yeast? Each year, 350,000 asthma-related deaths stem from fungal infection. Why isn't the medical profession screaming this out? Well, obviously, the pharmaceutical companies want you to be sick and want to prescribe you all of the pharmaceuticals and keep you on pharmaceuticals. Globally, fungi kill more than 1.5 million people a year. I mean, if you look at how many people die from prescription drugs, how many people die from heart disease, how many people die from ibuprofen, how many people die from, and kids die from liver failure. It's an epidemic. I mean, you would think, more people die from pharmaceutical and medical mistakes and doctors writing wrong prescriptions, or writing prescriptions for 2 different pharmaceuticals or 3 different pharmaceuticals that don't work good together or don't work well together. And it's just an open book to kill people, and nothing's being done about it. So, fungus in humans is now identified for the first time as a key factor in Crohn's disease. We've had a lot of people that have used the Allertrex. One of the reasons I developed Allertrex was because of the chemtrails. I was literally getting tons of emails coming in all the time from people saying, can you please, because everybody, like the whole world, has respiratory issues right now. The air is toxic. The oxygen levels in the air have gone from 26% 100 years ago down to 5%, 6%, 9% oxygen. Then you have all the fossil fuels in the air. You have all the chemicals in the air. So we're even myself, I live in Houston, and I still have to deal with respiratory issues every now and then. And I have air purification systems in my office, air purification systems in my home, but still, whenever I'm driving around out there or whatever. So I developed Allertrex specifically for that, and it works amazing. And it works great for kids too. If you have a sore throat, if you have a cough, if you have allergies, if you have asthma, I put natural occurring antihistamine herbs in there. So you might want to check that out. The Mayo Clinic study just found out fungus is a main cause of chronic sinusitis. Gee, an estimated 37 million people in the United States suffer from chronic sinusitis, an inflammation of the membranes of the nose and sinus cavity. Candida kills immune cells. New study published by Nature Communication shows a little bit of sugar on the surface of fungal cells triggers the death of immune cells that would otherwise kill the fungus. So what happens is there's a little bit of a sugar coating on those fungal cells, and when the immune cells come in to kill that and attack it, it kills the immune cells. Kills the immune cells. A fast-growing flesh-eating fungus killed 5 people following a massive tornado that devastated Missouri. That was in 2012. Histoplasmosis. I mean, the list just goes on and on. We could probably talk about an hour or two on just fungus. But I wanted to bring that up anyway, just to let everybody know that I was having some questions about it, and it seems to be getting worse and worse and worse. So, be aware that if you are having some symptoms, again, this goes back to why it's so important to clean your body and keep your body clean all the time, okay? We did a post on Facebook about what product would you like us to develop. And everybody was saying, we want you to come out with a vitamin C and a multivitamin and all this stuff. And that's great. That's all great. But ask yourself, why do you need vitamin C? Why do you need a multivitamin? Why do you need... I'm not a big proponent of having to take 30 or 40 different types of vitamin supplements every day. That's why you'll notice on our site, most of the stuff that we have is something that is related to cleansing the body and keeping the body clean. But we have stuff like B12 on there, or stuff that I'm finding is just deficient everywhere. You're not going to get enough of it in the food supply. And that's why we came out with the B supplement, which is the 2 cofactors that vitamin B actually breaks down in your body to: methylcobalamin and adenosylcobalamin. And iodine, you're not going to get iodine in the food supply. The ultimate guide and the ultimate way to keep your body healthy is to reduce or eliminate the amount of toxins that you're bringing into the body. Looking at the food that you're eating, look at the beverages that you're consuming, and reduce all of those toxins there, reduce all the toxins in the home, and cleanse your body on a regular basis. 70% of your immune system is in your gut. Keep your gut healthy. Keep your liver functioning. Get rid of all the fungus and harmful organisms in the body. Get rid of all the chemicals and heavy metals in the body. And then your self-healing mechanism, which that's another one of those big secrets the medical community hopes you'll never find out, that you actually do have the power to heal already inside of you. But another thing they know is that if they keep you stressed out all the time, and they keep a bunch of negative news, and they keep us in a state of war all the time, and I mean, I'm not trying to get political, but that actually has an effect on society. It keeps you in a state of anxiety. It keeps you in a state of stress. And when you're in that state of stress and anxiety, your health and your self-healing mechanism becomes suppressed. Some of the things that I use for yeast and mold and fungus, or whenever I do that, is, I try not to eat sugar at all, but I'll use silver. I'll use the mycozil. Oregano oil works incredibly well. Oh, by the way, our detoxidine, and this is the first time that I'm going to announce this, just got approved by the National Organic Program as the first certified organic iodine ever in the world. We've been working on that for quite some time now, and we still don't have the organic seal on the label yet, although we do have the certificate right now that our iodine is now the first in the world certified organic. So that's just another added benefit for you, knowing that our goal is to provide you the highest quality stuff possible. And another thing is, try to spend some more time out in nature. Go barefoot in the sand. Go barefoot, ground yourself. Go barefoot out in nature. Spend some time out there. I'll tell you what is really great. I do this for my kids. Whenever they're upset about something, or whenever they do something wrong and I need to punish them, I'll just say, okay, go hug a tree. There's the tree. Go hug the tree for 5 minutes. It works every single time. It just calms you down. That's where the term tree hugger came from. It was really a therapy a long time ago, because the ancient people in India and all those different types of traditional Chinese medicine, they knew the power of the earth. They would literally bury people with their heads sticking out because they knew the power of the earth. And the earth the energy you would get from that. And, that's why people soaked in all the hot springs all the time. That's why they did the hot mud baths, the volcanic baths and everything. And I'll take one more question. What do I use for H. pylori? That is, I don't know. Just the way the universe works, it seems like I've gotten that question a lot lately as well. So H. pylori is an attacking bacteria that gathers inside the stomach that probably 80 to 90% of the people over the age of 40 have, and it creates stomach ulcers. And H. pylori, the medical treatment for H. pylori is doses of antibiotics, and because H. pylori lives in your stomach whenever you have an alternating pH deficiency, okay? So your cells in your stomach aren't producing enough hydrochloric acid, and the balance of all of the peptides and everything that your stomach have are out of whack. They're out of balance. And that's the same way the whole body is, right? Organisms usually cannot live in your body. Like Louis Pasteur said on his deathbed, it's not the germ that causes disease. It's the environment that causes disease. Because Louis Pasteur is the one that created the germ theory, right? A long time ago, they said germs cause disease. And now, when he was dying, he said, I was wrong. I was wrong this whole time. Germs don't cause disease. It's the terrain that causes the disease. The terrain in your body. Your body becomes toxic. So, for H. pylori, again, everybody's different on that because it depends on what you're putting in your system. But I've used silver, again, using cleansing. One of the best things you can do for H. pylori is just get rid of the alcohol content that you're drinking and go to water. As a matter of fact, a 3 or 4 day water only fast by itself usually knocks out H. pylori. Iodine, silver, MMS works really, really good. I don't sell MMS, by the way. I was on the documentary years ago, and I still keep some handy. Oregano oil, Paratrex, Myco-ZX. The worst thing you can do for H. pylori is get on antibiotics, because that's just going to ruin your bowel, and also probiotics as well. So I'll close out there. Congratulations one more time to everybody that has completed the 14-day raw food intermittent fasting challenge. And if anyone has any further questions, regarding that. I'm going to stay on. I mean, I've been doing intermittent fasting for, let's see, year and a half, 2 years now. And I'm still going to do my 90-10 diet program. So if anybody has any questions about that, just try to incorporate more raw foods into your diet. And now you can actually have a nice bowl of warm vegetable soup. Good night. I'll see you later.